Tonight on Cronkite News, a new law on processed food in Arizona schools. Find out what might change in your child's school lunch.
We have to be honest about what matters. Should we do unlimited funds to the Diamondbacks, or should we fight homelessness?
Plus, hear from Mayor Kate Gallego and others on the contentious debate over funding renovations at Chase Field.
And a look at how African American players in Arizona help shape the game of baseball. Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Quentin Presley.
And I'm Ryan Posesnik. Thank you for joining us.
The Diamondbacks are awaiting legislative approval on a Chase Field renovation deal. The proposed project has been in the works for years, and a recent bill is helping pave the way, but not everyone is in agreement with the proposal. Our Max Cepeda sat down with Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego, one of the bill's critics, to find out what she thinks needs to change.
We want the Arizona Diamondbacks to stay in our downtown, and we think they're an important contributor. But again, it's a team owned by a billionaire.
In a sit-down interview, Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego was steadfast in her opposition to House Bill 2704, a measure that would allow the Arizona Diamondbacks to stay at Chase Field by renovating the facility over a 5-year span. The bill calls for $500 million in repairs, which Gallego claims would likely cost Phoenix taxpayers nearly $1 billion.
I am deeply concerned that the bill does not obligate them to pay a dime. There is language in legislative intent saying we hope the Diamondbacks pay $250 million. Every public dollar should be matched with a private dollar.
Lawmakers who back the bill say it simply repurposes sales tax money from the field and from players' salaries to fund the repairs, making it a creative solution to the long-standing dispute over how to maintain the ballpark.
I thought long and hard before taking on this bill. I believe it's a very important bill for the state of Arizona. It's very important to me, and I believe it's very important to you that the Diamondbacks stay in downtown Phoenix and, of course, in Arizona.
The Diamondbacks' lease in downtown Phoenix ends following the 2027 season, and most fans we spoke to believe that keeping the Snakes downtown trumps any financial concerns.
I liked it when it opened, and I thought it was obviously cutting edge at the time of that time. But it's been, a couple decades plus now, I think, right? And I think there has to be a real partnership between the club, the community, and government to make it work.
Mayor Gallego would also like to see more of a partnership with the city during this process, saying owner Ken Kendrick and his ownership group have yet to meet with all stakeholders, and points to what the Phoenix Suns and Mercury did to renovate PHX Arena in 2021.
I think the Phoenix Suns Mercury Arena is a good example of what could be a model for how we do this. There was an engineering report up front. We knew what the costs were.
Regardless of concerns, the Arizona State Senate expects to vote on the bill in the coming weeks, and the mayor remains confident that all parties will get what they want in the end.
We really have competing priorities here, and we have to be honest about what matters. Should we do unlimited funds to the Diamondbacks, or should we fight homelessness? My job is to do what is best for the people of Phoenix, and we, I think, are very close to a deal.
In Phoenix, Max Cepeda, Cronkite News.
Lawmakers are working on amendments to the bill, which will be presented to the Senate Appropriations Committee before it is sent to the full chamber.
Governor Katie Hobbs has signed a new bill that will restrict students' phone usage during the school day. The bill lists exemptions, including during emergencies, for educational purposes and medical conditions. The bill also states schools must restrict access to social media platforms through school internet.
Tax day is here, and if you haven't filed yet, you have just a few hours to get them done. But as Emily Foxmillion tells us, it's not too late to finish your taxes and also give back to the community.
For many Arizona charitable organizations and schools, this is a huge opportunity to raise funds through the Arizona Charitable Tax Credit. The credit was set up in 1998, and today it has funneled hundreds of millions of dollars to Arizona charities and schools, raising about $109 million each year. You can donate to organizations like foster cares and charities. Here's how the numbers break down. Depending on whether you're filing as a married couple or single, the amounts you can donate to each group are different, but ultimately it adds up to quite a few few $1,000s. You can also donate to schools, and the amounts differ depending on whether you're donating to a public or private school. Charter schools also qualify. Even if you owe money to the state, you can donate to a charity rather than give that money directly to the state treasury. For example, if you're single and owe $500 to the state, you can donate up to $470 to charity, which will bring your tax bill down to just $30.
What the charitable tax credit essentially does is it allows you to direct your tax money to an organization that you support that is addressing a serious societal issue that you value.
You must donate to qualifying charities, and you can find that list at the Arizona Department of Revenue. And the deadline to file is tonight, April 15th by midnight. In the newsroom, Emily Fox-Millian, Cronkite News.
Thanks, Emily. Coming up after the break, the Phoenix Zoo has a new big cat enclosure.
Yeah, that's right, Quentin, and learn how this expensive new home was funded. Stay tuned to learn all about their new enclosure and how they hope it can bring money into the state.
I'm Ariel Nelson from the Cronkite Weather Center. Stick around after the break because temperatures this weekend are expected to drop across the state.
As a teacher, you just want to reach people. You want to make a difference. You want to help them. I have an opportunity to do something I never imagined I would be able to do. Go out and build the best biology class the world has ever seen. When you go into Dreamscape Learn, you put on a set of goggles and you can go anywhere. You can be anyone and do anything. The thing about Arizona State University is they're always thinking about what's next. We can create virtual reality experiences so that you can learn by exploring in a virtual world the way that scientists explore in the real world. And kids can feel that. All these emotions are what help the brain encode information. When I see a student come out of VR, the look on their face is nothing like I've ever seen when I finish a lecture. They look so happy to be there in that moment. You know that you've reached them.
New research shows that using electronic cigarettes with traditional cigarettes can expose smokers to the same amount of nicotine and toxins as smoking just cigarettes. Replacing cigarettes with vaping is a common habit of those who try to quit smoking. This new study by the American Cancer Society suggests that those who use both products are still at risk of diseases related to smoking, including cancer, cardiovascular disease, respiratory harm, and more.
One of the new laws signed by Governor Hobbs yesterday has banned certain processed foods from schools. The new law bans food additives like red dye number 40 and titanium dioxide from being served in Arizona schools. Some foods now banned by the law include certain Pop-Tarts, Fruit Loops, nacho cheese Doritos, and more.
An internal State Department document recommended closing 10 embassies and 17 consulates across the world. The document was obtained by CNN. The document suggests the effects of the closures can be offset by embassies in neighboring countries. The State Department has not commented on the document. The majority of the embassies and consulates are in Africa and Europe, but some are in Asia and the Caribbean as well. One of the key consulates that the administration suggested should close is in the United Kingdom. This comes after J.D. Vance said he believed the United Kingdom and the U.S. could reach a trade deal in an interview with a British news site. Vance said he was, quote, working very hard with the British government. Vance said he believes he has made good progress in creating a deal between the two allies amid 10% tariffs. It's felt like summer here in the Valley, but the temps across the state are cooling down over the weekend.
Yeah, that's right, Quentin. Ariel Nelson joins us now from the Cronkite Weather Center with what we can expect.
Thank you, Ryan, and welcome to the Cronkite Weather Center. Let's take a look at what the rest of our evening is looking like tonight. We're starting out tonight around 90-ish degrees, but we're going to make our way down to 81 degrees by 10 o'clock tonight. Let's take a look at the low temperatures across the state. We've got our state low at 31 degrees up in the Grand Canyon, 32 degrees in Flagstaff, 49 degrees in Globe, and 63 degrees for our low here in Phoenix. Moving on to the high temperatures across the state, we've got our state high at 93 degrees down here in Safford, 77 degrees in Sedona, perfect temperatures for walking around, taking a nice hike and enjoying the beautiful weather. 84 degrees in Globe and a high of 92 degrees here in Phoenix. So certainly a warm day up ahead of us tomorrow. Like I said, that warm day with a high of 92 degrees and sunny conditions, but some clouds are going to roll in on Thursday. And by Friday, we could be expecting a little bit of precipitation with a 20% chance of rain and a high of 79 degrees. Those lower temperatures in the high 70s are going to stick around on Saturday with a 20% of chance of rain as well. But those temperatures are going to pop back up into the 90s by the start of next week, and probably those warmer temperatures are going to stick around for a bit longer. From the Cronkite Weather Center, sending it back to the desk, I'm Ariel Nelson.
Thanks, Ariel. With the beautiful weekend up ahead, it could be a perfect time to visit the Phoenix Zoo. The zoo also has a brand new expensive cat enclosure. Alyssa Firestone tells us how and why the cat's new home was funded and brought to the Valley.
Simba paces along a new catwalk, Mystic nestles against the boulders, all part of the $5.4 million transformation of the cat's new home at the Phoenix Zoo.
My family goes back involved with the Phoenix Zoo before it was a zoo.
Pierce believes the dollars are well spent to benefit the state overall.
It brings more people to want to go to the Phoenix Zoo. And so that's only dollars that are going to help support the Phoenix Zoo, and I think that helps the Arizona economy.
The State Office of Tourism agrees, as it facilitated nearly $800,000 for the zoo through the Visit Arizona initiative, a grant program supporting post-pandemic tourism recovery after the zoo met the qualifications.
The project had to directly or indirectly support tourism or hospitality in Arizona, and the organization applying had to have the ability to facilitate the project that it proposed.
This area alone is 2,500 square feet, with the total being 3 yards of the whole exhibit. But even a few yards of a brand new exhibit creates a ripple effect that benefits the overall economy.
When you drive to the zoo, you know, you're using gas, and you may stop for a bite to eat on the way there or the way back. And so when you're doing those things, you're also supporting the economy.
And zoo officials believe exhibits featuring species that are native to the state are even bigger draws for visitors.
It's just such a great representative of native Arizona cats. A lot of folks have never seen mountain lions or especially jaguars because they're so few and far between here in the state of Arizona.
In Phoenix, Alyssa Firestone, Cronkite News.
And Hardwick informs us that the zoo is strictly nonprofit without the use of tax dollars. That means this project was funded solely through generous donations, fundraisers, and grants.
Coming up next, the Cronkite Sports Report.
That's right, Quentin. Lots to cover tonight, including the latest on the firing of the Suns head coach. Genaro Garcia joins us now with what he has coming up. Genaro, take it away.
Yeah, I'll have more on the potential replacements for Mike Budenholzer after his firing, plus a very special story about the history of baseball here in Arizona.
Most people know the national level. They'll know a little bit about Jackie Robinson. Right, they'll know a little bit about the Negro League, Satchel Paige and, Josh Gibson, people like that, but they won't know about the history here in Arizona.
Coming up after a quick break, Arizona's role in integrating the sport of baseball.
As a teacher, you just want to reach people. You want to make a difference. You want to help them. I have an opportunity to do something I never imagined I would be able to do. Go out and build the best biology class the world has ever seen. When you go into Dreamscape Learn, you put on a set of goggles and you can go anywhere. You can be anyone and do anything. The thing about Arizona State University is they're always thinking about what's next. We can create virtual reality experiences so that you can learn by exploring in a virtual world the way that scientists explore in the real world. And kids can feel that. All these emotions are what help the brain encode information. When I see a student come out of VR, the look on their face is nothing like I've ever seen when I finish a lecture. They look so happy to be there in that moment. You know that you've reached them.
3, 2, 1.
Coming up on the cut.
Coming up on the cut. Coming up on the cut.
How students can build their broadcast journalism portfolio with opportunities to learn more about on-air reporting and studio production.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at @thecut_network and on X at @CutASU.
Welcome to the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Genaro Garcia. While the Suns didn't make the NBA playoffs or play-in, they've already had a busy offseason so far with the firing of head coach Mike Budenholzer yesterday. The vacancy sign on the team's head coaching position might be a concern for Suns fans, but there's quite a few candidates to select from before the real search even begins. If you follow the NBA, you probably heard that Michael Malone was fired by the Denver Nuggets 2 years removed from an NBA championship and could bring that old school experience to a Suns team desperate for structure. Taylor Jenkins, who was also fired late this season, has a history of developing young talent and could help activate the younger Suns on the roster. Finally, people have also pictured a return to the Valley for former Sun and two-time NBA MVP Steve Nash, who had a solid tenure with the Brooklyn Nets not too long ago. Speaking of head coaching vacancies, the Arizona Wildcats hired their new head coach for their women's basketball program, that being former Buffalo head coach Becky Burke. Burke arrived in Tucson last weekend and is ready to bring that top 1% competitiveness to the Wildcats program. Having spent the last 3 seasons at Buffalo, leading them to a record 30 wins and a WNIT title in the 2024-25 season, Burke is a former collegiate hooper herself, playing college ball at Louisville from 2008 to 2012, even appearing in a national championship. Burke has been around basketball her whole life and is thankful for the opportunity to pay what the game gave her forward.
From the moment my dad put a basketball in my hands when I was a little girl, like, I fell in love with this game. This game has done so much for me, and it's given me so much as a player, and it's given me even more as a head coach. And like Desiree hit on, my goal every day is to pay that forward and to pay it back.
Many baseball players today are celebrating Jackie Robinson Day, the debut of the first African American to play in Major League Baseball. But when that happened in 1947, the concept of integrated teams was not new here in Arizona. Cronkite News reporter Mahir Sanasan takes a look at that history and how it affected the community.
The sights and sounds of spring training, the players, the lawns, the opportunities, and a chance to dive into the past.
Most people know at the national level, they'll know a little bit about Jackie Robinson, right? They'll know a little bit about the Negro League, Satchel Paige and, Josh Gibson, people like that. But they won't know about the history here in Arizona.
That history started in the 1890s with teams like the Buffalo Soldiers, also known as the 25th Infantry, along with the Tempe Crimson.
Because Arizona became a state in 1914, right around that time, or even just a little bit before that, it was fairly integrated society.
Major League Baseball came to Arizona in 1947 when the then Cleveland Indians started playing some spring training games in Tucson and convinced the then New York Giants to play some games in Phoenix, overall giving more opportunities to African American baseball players, knowing the racial makeup of State 48 at the time.
Those two owners were catalysts in integration. They were aggressively signing black players. They wanted this to happen.
It was a white over black or white over non-white sort of situation, but the race relations here were not as violent as they were in the South, and it was a bit more fluid.
But hotels were still segregated, so African American players stayed in small houses nearby. In Phoenix, that meant being close to the Elks Lodge, St. Monica's Church, and the former George Washington Carver High School, which now holds the history of African Americans in Arizona.
There was a lot of allies. Thankfully, they met some allies in Arizona that kind of helped this process along.
Historical preservation of these buildings are common but not complete in these neighborhoods. This was the house where Willie Mays stayed in 1952, and this is what it looks like now. Another commercial building. An example of how the past may not always be preserved.
Just because you maybe stayed somewhere, seasonally, or visited somewhere, that typically doesn't meet the threshold for historic significance.
As Major League Baseball players celebrate Jackie Robinson Day, there is still room for improvement.
Literally, the field labor are the people of color. And some folks might say, how are you referring to field labor? I mean, these are multimillionaires. I understand that. I'm just talking about the racial dynamic mirrors what we saw 100 years ago.
But the legacy of the players here in Arizona will be remembered.
By their presence, Larry Doby, Ernie Banks, Monty Irvin, Willie Mays, the first wave of black players, all former Negro Leagues players, all Hall of Famers. Those guys' presence in Arizona integrated not just baseball in Arizona, but certain aspects of society.
In Phoenix, Mihir Hassan, Cronkite News.
The MLB has celebrated Jackie Robinson Day since 2004, and since 2009, the league has worn Robinson's number 42 on their backs. Just 3 days after a heartbreaking loss in USL League play, the Phoenix Rising are suiting up for their first U.S. Open Cup match of the season. The team is set to play FC Tulsa, a side that has already handed them a defeat earlier in the year. Saturday's 3-2 collapse against Detroit City FC still stings, especially after the Rising led by 2 goals in the 86th minute. Now, with a quick turnaround, the team's focus shifts to tomorrow's U.S. Open Cup clash with a familiar foe. Tulsa Football Club defeated Phoenix 1-0 at home last month, adding more storylines to an already highly anticipated matchup. Despite the short time to regroup, both the coaching staff and players are confident in the squad for Wednesday's matchup.
It's a team that came to our place and took 3 points, so it's going to be a great game, and I'm looking forward to it. And I think the response from the boys will be great.
We have to turn the page quickly and prepare as best we can for Tulsa. I know the team is looking for revenge after the home opener here against them, so we're looking to go out there and take it to them.
Cam Scadaboo seemed to be all people could talk about during ASU football's Big 12 championship run last season. However, with the hard-nosed running back gone, the team has to fall back on different options for the upcoming season. Fortunately, there seems to be a handful of guys who are up for the position's consideration. There are young guys and underclassmen who are fighting for a spot, but at the same time, upperclassmen such as Raleek Brown are also deep in the mix. Surely, it's a tough decision, but ASU starting quarterback Sam Levitt shared how he feels about the depth in the running game.
Oh, it's awesome. We got like 4 or 5 guys that can really go. A couple of youngsters in there, and, we got some speed, we got some strength, we got a mix. So, just working with them every single day and seeing what they got.
Well, that's it for today's Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Renato Garcia, sending it back to you guys at the desk.
Coming up next, maybe you've seen it, it has been a cultural phenomenon.
We're, of course, talking about the Minecraft movie. The Minecraft movie has officially become 2025's biggest movie yet. Stay tuned after the break to find out how much the film has made.
I grew up in a small border town, and water was really important to us. Without enough water, we can't farm, we can't eat, we can't live. And the way we're doing it right now, straight up doesn't have a future. I went to ASU because this is a place where you solve problems. With vertical farming, we can grow the same amount of food with 95% less water than traditional farming. The work I'm doing at ASU is changing the way I look at the world.
The scientists and engineers that support the next mission to Mars could be in this class.
Getting a degree at ASU is a journey that can take you anywhere. Into a world of groundbreaking technology and renowned award-winning faculty. Professors who help you to impact the world, whether you're on campus or at home. Becoming your best starts with learning from the best.
When I was younger, there were no engineers around me, so I had to become my own role model. At ASU, I wasn't just learning to be an engineer, I was actually engineering. And graduating, I already had real-world jobs lined up. Before ASU, my goal was to be a strong, confident woman. And when I left, I became a strong, confident engineer.
Welcome back from the break. 2025's biggest American movie is officially a Minecraft movie.
That's right, Quentin. The movie went viral online, which could have helped draw fans to the theaters. Despite sitting at a 49% on Rotten Tomatoes, the film has grossed over $500 million worldwide, with almost $300 million of that coming from the American audience, with a budget of $150 million. The movie has seen a great success.
That's it for tonight's edition of Cronkite News. I'm Quentin Presley.
And I'm Ryan Pesesnik. Thank you for joining us.
And to see top Arizona stories anytime, log on to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.